Good afternoon, everybody. We're just going to give it a couple more minutes for folks to log on, and we will be starting shortly. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is David Goodman, and I am with Buffalo Americas, and I'll be facilitating our webinar today. We are very excited to be with you today to discuss cloud, and we will be specifically exploring cloud costs and complexity and if they've gotten out of hand. If you're not familiar, Buffalo Americas, we specifically focus on on-prem storage with our network attached storage, external hard drives, and optical drive solutions. All of our NAS devices are built in Japan and are TAA compliant for our federal customers. Historically, many of our customers use our products for data storage and backup. Most recently, and based on extensive customer feedback, we have extended our offering beyond backup into the production data storage space with our newest flagship product, the TerraStation 7010 series. The ultimate goal of today's presentation is to share with you what we are seeing and hearing in the market as it relates to cloud costs and complexity. Hopefully you will find this webinar not only to be informative, but also help prepare you to objectively speak with your customers and stakeholders about the cost of cloud and complexity. So it is my pleasure today to present our speakers. Jeff Boyd from Synergy Sales and Marketing. Jeff is a veteran of the federal and SLED space. He is a channel consultant with over 30 years experience in public sector IT. He will be sharing with you what he is hearing from IT resellers related to cloud costs and complexity. Gary Thomas, our systems engineer here at Buffalo with 25 years experience in IT and the storage space. In addition to providing pre-sales engineering support to our resellers and end users, Gary also helps our internal IT by supporting our multi-cloud and private cloud infrastructure. He will be sharing his perspective and experiences today. Again, I'm David Goodman. I support Buffalo's channel marketing and channel demand generation efforts. I've been working in the IT channel in sales roles and marketing roles for 18 years now, 5 of which have been here at Buffalo. So let's talk a little bit about the premise of the cloud. Ultimately, it's been to lower costs and reduce complexity. There's that movement to the cloud. See, I can't imagine how our economy would have survived COVID-19 without the cloud, without public, private, or even hybrid clouds, right? So, you know, internally we live on, we're a distributed workforce, remote workforce, most of us working from home. and we live in the cloud for the most part. When I think of a cloud, I think of a server or servers in some far off data center or data centers that stores information. So in my personal life, I think of like Gmail or Dropbox, OneDrive, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, to store all my photos. While these cloud services make sense for my personal use, they may not make sense, I mean, particularly these consumer products, right? May not make sense for business organizations with people accessing their data on an hourly and daily basis, which we will explore further. Jeff, who frequently visits with channel partners, is constantly asking how the cloud is working out for their customers. And I'd like to turn it over to you, Jeff, to talk a little bit about what you've learned.
Sure, thanks, David. Good afternoon, everyone. So I will address what I see from a public sector perspective. Federal agencies, as well as many state and local governments, are clearly already on the journey to move workloads to the cloud. The depth varies agency by agency. So why are they doing this? The decision to move workloads to the cloud was founded on the premise of lower cost and less complexity. And as David said, we will address both today. Agencies must weigh the cost of managing their own infrastructure, including fast-growing costs of their data centers versus outsourcing a portion of this to cloud providers. Early cloud concerns were based around security. Users were told to expect lower costs, so the major concerns were security-based. Over time, with the introduction of GovClouds offering higher levels of security, agencies grew more comfortable and began this transition, and it continues today. So how is this working out? Over the past several months, we've been asking this question. Frankly, it's still to be determined, as this transition is going to take years based on IT funding flows, infrastructure refresh cycles, budgets, etc. And we agree with the industry pundits who believe that ultimately we'll live in a hybrid storage environment where agencies use multiple clouds, both public and private, for a portion of their data storage needs, while also maintaining on-prem storage for more sensitive workloads. This is especially true with DoD and intelligence agencies. We further believe that the awareness of excessive cloud egress costs problem is growing rapidly. So Buffalo is a channel-based vendor, as our go-to-market strategy in the public sector is built around working through a network of resellers and integrators of varying sizes and types. We've been soliciting their feedback on this topic as well, as they're deeply involved in helping the agencies make this transition journey. So trend-wise, what we're hearing and seeing is the following. Number one, momentum for agency transition to the cloud of varying types of workloads continues. Since this process has been slowly and steadily building for the past several years, trends are clearly emerging. As it turns out, the premise of cost savings has been alluring for most entities. The economic model of cloud works well for many types of data, primarily data that does not have to be accessed frequently. Problems have emerged as agencies are also using the cloud for production data, which is frequently accessed data and is critical to completing day-to-day tasks and processes. We have heard at least a half a dozen confirmed cases of this in federal alone, and the more we discuss this topic, the number of cases keeps growing. For example, a large prominent military base blew a 5-year renewal budget in 1 year for their cloud storage based on unforeseen data egress fees. Similarly, a large civilian agency's budget was decimated by excessive egress fees. In both cases, these agencies had signed multi-year service level agreements with their cloud provider at a fraction of a cent per transaction per document. The problem is they use the cloud to store production data like email, databases, etc., which their thousands of users were accessing on an hourly and daily basis, thus adding to ever accelerating costs. Sensing a trend, our team searched for additional evidence of this phenomenon. So I'm going to send it back to you, David, who will now reference recent media coverage on this topic.
Thank you, Jeff. So, when I look at the IT business news, there is it's pretty consistent talk about the cloud, and according to this Wall Street Journal article, 82% of enterprise surveyed by Flexera Software cited managing cloud spending as their top cloud challenge. The first time in over a decade of conducting the survey that cloud spending has ranked above cybersecurity, the software company said. That I found was pretty surprising when I saw that the cloud spending is more than security. The article continues to cite Forrester research, stating that some CIOs have described as a poor return on their cloud investments with unrealistic expectations around what the technology will cost compared with running data centers, ultimately forcing them to reevaluate their cloud plans. Now, clearly cloud isn't going away, nor are we saying that it is going to go away or advocating for that, right? I think if anything, hybrid cloud approach is the way to look at this, right? But if we look at cloud spending worldwide, it is expected to grow 18.5% this year to about $576 billion, slightly lower than the 18% growth forecasted for last year. And finally, following this rapid shift to the cloud to support remote work during the COVID-19 pandemic, many companies didn't necessarily think about all the implications, such as management, cost management, security, resilience, and operational efficiency. So, now let's explore complexity a bit. In this article, many organizations made mistakes during the pandemic with overly complex infrastructure and without proper consideration of operational impact. There was, a mad dash to get folks up and running, so it makes sense. Gary, let me turn it over to you to explore some of the complexities of the cloud and what you're seeing from your vantage point.
All right, thank you, David. So several years ago, there were a lot of business and organizations were moving everything to the cloud, and they were hoping to save a lot of time and money. A lot of the problems started because they did this without a clear plan in place. And in many cases, they had different groups and departments within each company going their own way with different vendors and different plans, which made it difficult for many organizations to track where and how they were even using cloud services, and almost impossible to manage in any meaningful way due to the lack of cohesiveness. Add to that, the different tools and procedures used by different cloud services, and it quickly began to erode any benefit they were gaining from cloud services. In fact, a recent survey by Deloitte Consulting revealed that nearly half of those surveyed saw this complexity as the primary risk to ROI. Many companies were seeing either no value or negative value in their cloud operations. And to make things worse, it isn't always clear what the best practices are with each vendor. Just a few years ago, a cloud security firm found classified data for a US military application in an unsecured cloud storage bucket. Another time recently, there were several UK consulting firms that made the same mistake and exposed their data publicly. Just last year, researchers with another cloud incident response company found hundreds of databases in a cloud-based database service that were exposing email addresses, phone numbers, dates of birth, marital status, car rental information, in some cases even company logins. Members of Laminar Labs' research team recently found that 1 in 5 public-facing cloud storage buckets contains personally identifiable information, and it appears that most of that data wasn't even supposed to be online in the first place. Finally, the pricing guides and calculators that each vendor offers are all different, and most are too complex to make it easy to predict what their costs are going to be over the long term to start with. That just adds to the complexity of the of cloud offerings overall. Now I'd like to pass it back to David to continue on.
Thanks, Gary. So, further evidence, Gartner recently stated that 95% of business IT leaders find cloud billing the most confusing element of using the public cloud services. So, given these challenges, Jeff, my question to you is, what did those customers you spoke about earlier do in regards to those excessive egress fees?
Sure, David. In virtually every one of those instances that I mentioned, the agency has moved a portion of the workloads they previously had deployed to the cloud back to on-prem storage. And in every case, it was due to, again, the excessive data egress fees resulting from high frequency access need for their production data workloads. So Gary is going to now talk about how Buffalo addresses this problem.
Thank you, Jeff. All right, Buffalo offers a variety of solutions that include hybrid cloud, which we define as keeping some data in the cloud and some on-prem, and perhaps some in both places for redundancy. We also can help with what we call a private cloud solution, which we define as keeping data on-prem in multiple locations using our built-in backup and replication features. Finally, this all ties into our on-prem storage solutions. We have a variety of NAS devices designed to meet multiple needs. Our NAS devices include our closed operating system, meaning we don't have any third-party apps on our devices. We think these just create additional attack vectors for bad actors attempting to access your data. We do integrate with some of the major cloud providers in that we can either back up cloud data locally, back up local data to the cloud, or sync data between cloud and on-prem storage. All our business class NAS devices are made in Japan and are TAA compliant. We try to make utilization of our products as easy as possible. All of our NAS devices include hard drives installed, and all rack mount devices ship with the real kits in the box. RAID is already pre-configured on our NAS, and we have available 5-year next business day warranties and keep your drive warranties for those who can't return a failed drive due to security concerns. We always have our 24/7 US-based tech support available to assist with any problems you may have. Please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be glad to get on the phone with you and your customers to see if we're able to help with your specific needs. Right, David?
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, and we're very sincere about wanting to help. Feel free to reach out to your Buffalo rep. They could set up a call with Gary for you or you and your customer if you're a reseller. He's happy, not to speak for you, Gary, but you're happy to jump on and help if we have a solution that'll meet your specific needs. Any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. I hope that you found this presentation informative. I'll give you a little context for talking about cloud costs and complexity. And with that, sincerely, thank you very much for your time. And I look forward to hearing back from you guys in a short period of time. Thank you.